Hello everyone, Mr. Shepherd here again with some more maths, and our WOLT for today is to recognise equivalent fractions. Okay, today we're going to learn about the equivalent fractions of 1/2 and 2/4. Okay, so what are equivalent fractions? Equivalent means equal in value. Okay, equivalent fractions are fractions that are equal, the same amount. 1/2 and 2/4 are an equal amount. So we've got 2/4 on the right hand side here. So you can see that the circle is divided into 4 pieces. Okay. And on the left hand side, we've got the circle divided into just 2 pieces. But we can see that the pieces are exactly the same size. So if this was a pizza and we were sharing a pizza and we gave half of the pizza and half of the pizza on this side, and these are 2 identical sized pizzas, you'd get the same amount, wouldn't you? You'd get the same amount whether you had the half on this side or the 2/4 on this side. The only difference is, instead of dividing the pizza in half, on this side we've divided the pizza into 4. Okay, 1/4 is this part here, 2/4 is the whole half there. Okay, so we can see that they're exactly the same size, aren't they? And that's what we mean when we talk about equivalent fractions. Are exactly the same size. Okay. All right, so the same amount is shaded on both sides. Okay, 1/2 and 2/4 are equal. All right, now the bar model on the following slide shows the equivalence again. Okay, this is just showing in a different way. So at the top here we've got 2 halves. At the bottom we've got 4/4. Okay, and the 2 halves make a whole, and 4/4 make a whole. And if we split those holes right down the middle, we get 1/2 on this side or above and 2/4 below, exactly the same size. Okay, match the shape on each side to its equivalent fraction. All right, so which does this match to? Have a look there and see if you can pick which one of these is the same as the shape shown above. Okay, which has the same amount shaded. All right, guess have a look which one. Well, we'll see. It's that one, isn't it? Okay, and again, this is 2/4, same size as 1/2. All right, what about this one? Which one is showing the same amount here? Well, we can see this is split right down the middle, isn't it? We've got 1/2 here. So what is the 1/2 the same as? The same as 2/4. Can you see 2/4 anywhere down the bottom here? Now this is divided into thirds, isn't it? So that's not going to be 2/4. And again, we've got thirds. This one here, we've divided into quarters. Okay, and 2 of those quarters have been shaded in. They haven't been put right above and below each other like the one above here, but still we've got 2/4 of this whole shape shaded. Okay, so that is an equivalent value to this. All right, exactly the same amount has been shaded. They just haven't been shaded one below the other. Okay, so that's the equivalent. All right, what about this one? We've got, it's split right down the middle, this triangle, 1/2 and 1/2, and we've got 1/2 shaded. Which one of these at the bottom shows the same amount shaded? Okay, so remembering our 2/4. Remember that 2/4 is the same as a 1/2. Let's use that and see if we can find one that's 2/4 down the bottom here. Okay, is this one 2/4? Let's see how many is it divided into. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's divided into 4. How many of those are shaded? 1. Okay, so we're showing 1/4 here. What about this shape? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 again. How many are shaded? 1, 2, 3. So we're showing 3/4 here of the whole. How many are shaded in the middle here? 1, 2. So we've got 2/4. Okay? Because this has been divided exactly equally with these triangles, we know that it's been divided into 4. And if we know that 2/4 is the same as a half, we know that this must be the exact same amount. These 2/4 must equal exactly the same amount as this shape above that's been divided perfectly in half. Okay? So that's our equivalent one. All right, what about this shape? We've got 2/4, okay? We've got 4 in total. 2 of them are shaded, 2/4. Can we see 2/4 down the bottom? This is 1/4, isn't it? This is 3/4. Here we've got 2/4. Okay, which of the shaded shapes on the following slide are equivalent to 1/2? Click on each shape to send it to its correct place in the table. All right, so equivalent to 1/2. All right, this one here, do we think this is equivalent to 1/2 or not equivalent to 1/2? Should it go in this side or in this side? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. 2 of them are shaded. 2/4 is the same as 1/2, isn't it? And we can see that that's a half, can't we? That's half of that shape is shaded in. So that's definitely equivalent to 1/2. Let's see. Yes, it moves into there. Okay, what about this one? Is this equivalent to a half or not a half? Well, we've got 2/4 again. We can see that that's the same as a half. Let's move it in. What about this one? How many equal parts has it been split into? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 2 of them shaded in, so that's 2/4. 2 out of 4, that's a half. What about this one? Now, this is in thirds, isn't it? We've got 2/3. We can see that's not the same as a half, is it? If we put them both together, or even if we look at it the way it is, we've got one strip. Okay, 2 of them are coloured in, all right, and that's going to take up a lot more than the one that's left by itself, and it's divided into 3. So do we think that's a half? Definitely not a half, that one. All right, what about this one? How many pieces has it been divided into? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 of those are shaded in. We know that 2/4 is the same as a half. That's going to be a half. What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So we're dealing with quarters. Have we got 2/4? 1, 2, 3. No, we've got 3/4 shaded in. That's not a half. What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 3 shaded in, not a half. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. 1 of them is shaded in. That's a quarter, isn't it? 1 out of the 4 is shaded in, so that's not a half. What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 of those quarters have been shaded in. That's definitely going to be a half. And here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 out of the 4 have been shaded in. That's definitely going to be half of this shape, because we know these are 4 equal parts. 2 of them are shaded in. 2/4 is the same as a half. So even if we can't see it 100% clearly, we know that that's going to be half of that shape. Okay, so it's equivalent to 1/2. Let's now look at equivalent fractions of amounts, okay? So we've been dealing mainly with fractions of shapes, but we can also have fractions of amounts. Okay, so let's have a look at this next slide. Here, we've got all these pizzas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pizzas. Okay, circle 1/2 of the pizzas. Well, if we split these right down the middle, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So we've got an exactly half is going to be half on this side, half on that side. Okay, so we're going to circle 4 of the pizzas. Rightio. Circle 2/4 of the pizza below. Now, we know that 2/4 is exactly the same as a half, isn't it? So without even thinking too much about it, we know that we've got to circle 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, don't we? Because 2/4 is exactly the same as a half. But what we're looking at with quarters is each 2 of these is 1 part, okay? It's been divided into 4 groups. 1, 2, that makes 1 group. 1, 2 again, that makes group 2. 1, 2 again, that's group 3, and that's group 4. Let's click on it and see. We should see these 2 are going to be in a group together, and these 2 are going to be in a group together. Might make it a bit clearer. All right, so our other 2 groups are this and here, okay? These 2 and these 2. Because with quarters, if it's an amount, we're dividing them into 4 equal groups. And to get 4 equal groups, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And we can see that that's exactly the same as our half above. Half the amount above is exactly the same as the 2/4 that we've got below. Okay. All right, so there it is. Half the amount of pizza equals 4 pizzas. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's exactly the same as 2/4 is going to be the exact same amount. So 2/4 of the amount is going to be 4 pizzas as well. Okay, because 2/4 and a half are equivalent fractions. They're exactly the same. Match the fraction circled to its equivalent amount on the following slides. Okay, right. We can call this a group of 4. Okay, so these we can really think of this as quarters. Okay, each one of these is a quarter. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 equal parts. We've got 2 of those parts circled or selected. Okay, so we've got 2/4 of the whole amount of spiders. All right, so where below is going to be equivalent. 2/4 is equivalent to a half, isn't it? So if we can find one with half the amount of spiders that are selected below, that's going to be exactly the same. All right, is this half the amount of slop spiders? No, it's not, is it? 3 out of the 4 selected. Is this half the amount of spiders? No. We've got 1 out of the 4 selected. Is this half the amount of spiders? Yes, it is. So that is going to be our equivalent fraction. Now, what about this one? See if you can see what is the answer to this one. Now, excuse me, we've got how many fish altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they've put a ring around 4 fish. Okay, so we've got 4 fish here and 4 fish here. How many fish have been circled then in a fraction? What fraction of the fish have been circled? We've got exactly the same amount circled inside the circle here as we have outside, okay? So we've got half the amount of fish have been circled. What's the equivalent of half the amount of fish? 2/4 of the amount of fish, okay? So we know that half the amount of fish is 1, 2, 3, 4.